What's going on, guys? Seth and Chevy here. We just watched episode 10 of Trigun Stampede. We're going to be going full spoilers ahead, so hopefully you saw this episode. As we're getting close to the finale, we got 2 episodes left, and it definitely feels like it with this episode. So quick recap. Spoilers, again, you've been warned. We start off with the journalists, Meryl and Roberto, talking with the worm and the doctor about what they're really doing with these red plants. The doctor ends up taking them with him to kind of show them around and explain a lot of things, in which he reveals the room where he's essentially created Wolfwood, Livio, and other monsters, as they call them. They have a discussion a bit about the morality of what they're doing in this situation. Obviously, they don't agree with what he's doing. And then he reveals to them that him and Millions Knives are both creating, in their eyes, a better future for the planet by making human hybrids of humans and plants. This is obviously, this kind of experimentation is not good to Roberto and Meryl makes comment that she takes pity on them, but one of the hybrids wakes up essentially feeling insulted by that statement, and they're able to shoot nails. So a pursuit happens where that hybrid chases after them, shooting nails at them. They're running away. A little earlier in this, while this was all happening, though, Vash and Wolfwood both made it to July. They're on their way to, confront Millions Knives, but also make sure the journalists are all right. And they run into a situation where they run into the soldier guy from the first episode, and a bunch of his dudes are chasing them down. They get them kind of cornered, and somebody remembers Vash and what they perceive to have, what they think he did to some people, and they are unable to hold their trigger finger, and they shoot Vash in the stomach. Chest or lower chest, stomach area, lower area,
in the core somewhere.
Nothing too fatal, because he seems almost unfazed by it. Just kind of accepting what they gave him. They end up running away. They are pursued by the soldiers. Him and Wolfwood have a discussion while he takes his shirt off while trying to fix himself, and Wolfwood sees all of his scars, and he's kind of shocked by it. And they have more of the conversations they've been having about why Vash is always running, why he feels compelled to protect people, all that kind of stuff.
Also, Vash implies or says something to the regard of basically telling Wolfwood he knows why Wolfwood's with him.
Yeah. So then Meryl and Roberto are running from a nail person. They get cornered. They call down an elevator trying to escape. Then they create a plan to run. They end up running. Nails are shot at them. And then just in the right nick of time, Vash and Wolfwood show up. Wolfwood starts shooting the nails out of the air. They make it into the elevator, and then Vash just kind of sends them off while waving at them. The whole time they're going down, Meryl wants to go back and help them. Of course she does. That's been her whole thing this whole show so far. But then they find out Roberto actually got shot in the stomach with a nail, and it seems pretty bad. He's bleeding all over the place. And he keeps trying to make light of the situation, like he didn't drink enough for the situation, all that kind of stuff. Passes his gun to Meryl, says she's in charge now, and he passes away, which I was not expecting. We'll talk about that. Meryl's left with his little pea shooter, and to figure out what the hell she's gonna do. After that, Wolfwood, when shooting the nails out of the air, one of them drops and hits this hybrid. I forgot, did they say their name?
They did in earlier episodes.
Yeah, I don't even remember. So she gets cut. She's apparently not used to getting hurt because she makes a big deal about it. She's pouting on the ground. Obviously, her and Wolfwood know each other. He starts talking to her. She seems irritated by even his presence. Then Vash tries to help her, of course. She doesn't want him to even touch her. And she's definitely not a fan of them. So they split up. Wolfwood goes and talks to the doc. He got a piece of paper from him. I don't remember what the hell it said, though.
So his mission was to go get Vash and bring him.
Yeah.
And he completed his mission.
And so he brought him, yeah.
And so he went and got his reward, which was a piece of paper. And then he comments, what am I going to do with the piece of paper?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember that. Yeah. So in a weird way, he kind of inadvertently did his job, but not in the way that they were probably expecting. But he still did it. He's there. as also implied earlier, Meryl realized that this whole thing was a trap to get Vash. So she tried to warn them when her and Roberto left. And so everything's kind of going to Nye's plans, it seems. Vash confronts Nye. It's cut short pretty fast. I was surprised. They go to talk, and Nye essentially says that you're not really trying to protect people. You're just trying to make up for what you did 150 years ago, in which he says he's going to, I forgot his wording, but he's gonna fix him or change him.
I think it was fix.
To make him more like himself. He drops him in a hole as a trap. Vash has a little fucking, not zip line, grappling hook thing. He tries to not fall in, but then Nye cuts the cord because he's got knives, and Vash falls into a pit of liquid, and that's where the episode ends. So a lot happened in this episode, and we lost a character. What do we think?
Yeah, I also want to add to that after Roberto passed away, and you kind of hear him like monologuing about certain things or whatever, Meryl makes the decision, because he's talking about making choices, and she makes the decision to make the elevator go back up. So
Yeah.
I love this episode. Had a lot of information. It also had a lot of scenes. Both
There's a lot going on.
Action. There was emotion. There was storytelling, good music. It just kind of had a little bit of everything. And
I feel like this episode and the last episode were both super dense, but I think it's because they're trying to get us ready for a finale. Obviously, there's 2 episodes left, and I feel like there'll be less story, like, background story and deeper stuff, and probably more of an event to end the season with. So, yeah. It was a dense episode.
I was also... first off, I was surprised when no one got hit by nails, and then I was like, well, they've been lucky this whole show. I just kind of like accepted it, and then like it showed him bleeding out, and I was like, oh, okay, he did get hit by a nail. So
I've low-key been waiting for him to die as a character for a while now. So I wasn't too surprised by it. In fact, when they're running, there's at one point where it looked like he staggered for a second. I'm like, oh, he got hit. I didn't know if they're going to kill him, but I was like, oh, he definitely got hit right there.
yeah.
So yeah, was surprised though when they're kind of showing how much he's bleeding. I'm like, is he gonna die? Is this gonna happen? So, which sucked. I liked him as a character. So
Yeah, and they handled his death really well with him, basically passing the torch to her, and then like right before she makes that decision to take the elevator back up, it kind of shows like his flask, his cigarettes, and his possessions basically in a little pile, almost like a respectful like totem almost for him. And then she's examining the gun while you could tell she's like trying to make this decision, and then she kind of hesitates and hits the button, which was all just really well done. A lot of emotion without any words. It was really good.
it's also extra fucked because she's the one who always wants to do these things, and he's always asking her like, do you even value your life?
Yeah.
He's trying to save himself, but also save her. He's reluctant to do these things. And so he just died for that.
Yeah.
Which is pretty heavy. We'll see if she has any,
Well, even when
feelings
she
on that.
blames herself, he just says, yeah, this is your fault. So, so he's not like sugarcoating it, but he's also like you said earlier, he's just also kind of just like, it happened.
This is how it is. Yeah.
So, really good characters.
And he didn't have to go. He chose to.
Yeah.
So,
which has been a constant in the show. They do really good characters, and
I've liked all the characters so far.
Really curious, obviously how this is going to end. But right now, with all the pieces all kind of coming together and any questions kind of being answered, I've been really enjoying it. So, also the clones was not what I was expecting either, but it kind of makes sense after his long discussion basically about trying to make like the perfect race to inherit the planet. We just kind of got a taste early on in the show with him basically making adult humans and children into almost like these mechanized and chemical, driven people, and then his new approach, obviously is a little bit more extreme because it has to do with babies and cross species hybrid or breeding or whatever. So it's really interesting. So, but yeah, I don't know if I have much more to say. You kind of explained the whole episode, and I just kind of like enjoyed the whole thing. So, and as always, the animation was really good. So,
yeah, for sure. It's a good episode. It felt like there were some stakes. In fact, there was. Roberto died, unless he comes back in the next episode, which I think would really cheapen that scene. I think hopefully that's where that's at. But I liked him as a character, but I do like when an anime can or anything can sacrifice its characters in ways that makes it feel like there are stakes, people are invisible or invincible, stuff like that. So yeah, that scene I thought was really good and made a lot of sense. But yeah, the episode was good. I liked getting a slight glimpse at July. We haven't seen a whole lot on it, but we've heard it talked about quite a bit, and that they finally got there. It's a hustling and bustling city, which is interesting.
It's weird, like Wild West / Metropolis thing. Yeah.
There was a shot where the camera went back and up into the air, and I was gonna start humming the Final Fantasy VII theme, and then at one point they look up and there was a disc in the air. I'm like, man, that's just a thing, huh? It was cool looking though. Also, the interaction between them and the soldiers I thought was interesting. That was interesting. Vash got shot. It wasn't even a big deal, but that guy just popped him one, and then was like, okay, I guess that was enough.
It's tricky too because he's not human, so you have no idea like what kind of damage that actually did to him. So.
Yeah, and it also kind of adds gravity to why he's less worried in situations than a lot of people would be. Like when guns are drawn on him and stuff, he's just like, oh, I don't want to deal with this. Whereas other people are like, well, you're gonna get shot and die. And in this situation, he gets shot and he's like, oh man, and he just like walks off. So probably hurt, but that's about as far as that went apparently. Their conversation in the sewer, wherever the hell they were, was interesting, but kind of felt a lot like what we've been doing for a while there, but it was cool. Also, it was weird to see all the scarring on him. That's kind of fucked up. And then a lot of the exposition, a lot of the discussion with the doctor was kind of interesting, but felt kind of like I kind of knew that a lot already. Like I kind of assumed that's where they're going with it. So that they're going with hybrids, like you said, they went from like these mechanized weird mechanical hybrid people to like these like actual plant-based people. Was interesting, but after a while there, I'm like, is this whole episode gonna be them just kind of walking around talking about this lab and what he's done and stuff like that? But then things get kind of crazy with the kid coming out and shooting the nails at them, which was kind of disturbing, having nails just shot at you like a machine gun.
Yeah.
Kind of makes sense with Nye having all his knives. They would have something else, but yeah. The whole god complex they had where they were just chasing after them and shooting nails and talking about pitying them and stuff like that was interesting.
How humans are naturally discriminatory.
Yeah. That seems to be a theme as this thing is just discriminating against them. Doesn't seem that different. It was. I think it was outside of the major events of this episode. I think one of the biggest takeaways I have from it is that we got some light on the doctor and kind of how he first got kind of brought into this with knives, giving him an ultimatum saying like, I'm going to either kill you like everybody else or you're going to help me with, my ambitions. And so being a man of science, he probably reluctantly joined him, but also now can do these experiments that, he's willing to die over. At one point, he says they can kill him if they want to because he truly believes in what he's doing. So that was a really interesting thing. A lot of times, this guy's always just been in the background. Oh, he's the fucking crazy doctor guy. But now we kind of get that he's like ideologically driven. He believes that he is building a better future, similar to people in history who thought the same.
While also having like this same kind of sense that Vash has about like redemption.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's kind of like this show's done the whole time we've been watching it. They will flesh out the characters eventually. You got a character in the background. Eventually, we're going to understand that character better. And so far, they've done a really good job at that. I'd like to know more about the worm person, even though we did get a little bit. We know now that these worms are just from the planet. They're trying to do what they have to do, trying to side with whoever's going to benefit them the most. But they are on nobody's side outside of what they need to be.
Yeah, and it also mentioned that it didn't necessarily believe in choosing sides. It just it is they believe that they are the planet. So that was kind of an interesting sentence that came out of its mouth. So
so they're not playing teams essentially, which is interesting. Then we were talking about the Roberto thing, but that was a good scene. It was heavy. It was done well. And Wolfwood showing up shooting the nails is cool. Always like seeing that gun being used. And then I don't have much to say on Vash and Nye talking. It was pretty brief. I can kind of assume where it's going to go. He's going to either try to clone him, or he's going to try and do something to him to change his perspective. But obviously he put him in that trap, and we're going to obviously get more info on that in the next episode. But pretty interesting. They just walked right into his trap.
knowingly.
Yeah. And I am curious about, in the next 2 episodes, what the conclusion of this season will be, how they're going to defeat Nye, if they are going to defeat him in this season. Because I don't know if they're playing a season 2 or not. And there's a lot of things I'm definitely curious about moving forward. But overall, really good episode. A lot better than the last one. Last one wasn't bad, but I feel like this one just felt a little more focused, which I appreciate. I'm also not as tired as I was on the last episode when we watched it. I was watching, I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. I'm so zoning out, but that's on me. I liked it. It was good. And I definitely want to know what's going to happen. Definitely curious about the last 2 episodes of this season, because we're running out of time to get some kind of ending that's going to feel satisfying. And I'm sure they'll be able to do it. It does seem like we've narrowed down this location, the key players here. We've wiped one out completely out of the story, and something's going to have to happen. So definitely curious about it. Anything else you want to say on it?
Not specifically this episode, but this episode had a lot of it. But the one of my favorite things about the show, so from an animation standpoint, is they're really good at conveying emotions on people's faces and stuff.
Yeah.
It's been a treat because they have these very exaggerated faces, but it also allows them to just kind of do really detailed emotions when Meryl was looking resolute and trying to make a decision, or when she's sad, or when Vash is waving and you can see he's smirking, but it's not a happy smile. It's more of a just say to do it so it doesn't look like it's a big deal, type of thing. So,
yeah, it's almost trying to be calming, but also that could be the last time he sees her.
Yeah.
So
really, really good play on the way they do faces.
Even the hybrid chick, when she was coming out, her eyes were moving in certain ways, or when she was upset, there was a lot of emotions going through that face that was being conveyed really well. They've done that really well the whole season.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah.
So.
It's not even the gimmick of certain scenes that are action-y, the animation's been good. It's no, the subtleties of faces has been really good. I would like to see other things these guys do, and if they make another show after this, it's not Trigun, I'd be curious to see what they do, because they've done nothing but excellent work. I can't believe anybody thinks the animation in this is bad.
Some people just don't like CG. Period.
No, that's fine.
So yeah.
If someone's I don't like CG anime, I'd be okay, cool, whatever.
Yeah.
But if you're that's bad, I'm compared to what? What are we talking about here? Anyway, Avatar, it's not as good as looking as Avatar. Nothing else.
Wow. That's a completely different budget.
Sure, that's what I'm saying. What are we comparing it to? Other CG anime? I don't agree at all. But yeah,
the last big show they did was Beastars. So.
Oh God, isn't that furry show?
Yeah, it's supposed to be really good, but
interesting.
Yeah.
Anything else?
Nope. 2
All right.
more to go.
Yep. I'm excited to finish it out and give our final review for the whole season. But let us know in the comments what you guys think of this episode. What stood out to you? What didn't? What did you pick up on? Is there something about this episode we didn't talk about that you'd like to talk about? Feel welcome to throw that in the comments. And where do you think things are going? Are you enjoying the show so far? Are you ready for the finale? What do you think is going to happen there? Unless you do know, don't tell me. And yeah, let me know what you think about in the comments below when it comes to Trigun Stampede. I've been Seth, though, and this has been Chevy. And thanks for joining us for this. Stay tuned for more episodes. Until then, we will talk to you guys later.